Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we've got the Canon EOS R10 back in our hands to do a thorough test against a variety of subjects and give you our final opinion on the R10. We have already uploaded a first impressions video where I covered all the specifications and key features in depth, so click either corner to watch that now. But for now, we're testing it at Chester Zoo in hopes to capture some cool stills and footage of the animals. And I'll be answering your questions on why this camera is aimed at beginner photographers and is it a good entry level or secondary camera. I'm Olivia from Wilkinson Cameras and Ella is behind the camera but also taking some stills today. Earlier this week, Ella and I went to a local park in Preston to test the camera both for stills and video capabilities. Because this is an all-rounder beginner's camera, we wanted to try a variety of styles including some wildlife and portraiture, which we will also include in this video. So if we jump to a different location or outfit, then you'll know why. The main features that stand out as an entry level is the 24.2 megapixel sensor, 15 frames per second mechanical and 23 frames per second electronic shutter, 4K 30p video produced by oversampling 6K output and 4K 60p with a crop, full HD up to 120p and a well improved autofocus system that has been derived from those in the EOS R3. So this is aimed at entry-level and beginner photographers and content creators who need a hybrid camera capable of producing both impressive stills as well as good quality video and filmmaking. The R10 is also a great starting EOS R camera if you're someone that wants to get their foot in the door with the EOS R mirrorless system, especially for those transitioning from DSLR to mirrorless cameras. This camera is the beginner camera of that range. Following from this is the EOS R7, which we also put to the test at the Bird Sanctuary. Click the card above or the link below to watch after this video. So referring to the headline photo features, at no surprise the 15 frames per second mechanical shutter and the 23 frames per second electronic shutter were both very impressive. I found it incredibly easy to use and was very impressed with the autofocus and the tracking on this camera. For the beginner user, frames per second literally means how many frames per second the camera can capture. The more frames per second, the more action you can capture, which is great for sports and wildlife photography. If you want to learn more about aperture and how to use it correctly, we filmed a video explaining these features, which you can find in the description box below. So we're talking fast, accurate and quick autofocus that derives from those in the EOS R3 autofocus system. I tested this myself and was incredibly impressed in both stills and video. The autofocus in video was also very impressive. I did a test by running in and out the shot whilst recording to try and throw off the camera, but as you can see the R10 was holding up pretty well. When vlogging, the autofocus clung to my eyes whilst I was walking around and hardly shifted at all, so if you wanted to use the camera to vlog, then the autofocus is very reliable. Whilst on the video side, the R10 shoots up to 4K 60p with a crop or 4K 30p at full APS-C sensor size. I must say, the detail and colour on the 4K portrait footage is remarkable, considering it was shot at standard colour profile. The R10 doesn't have any form of C-log or flat profile to retain highlights and shadows, but the standard colour profile is more than enough for someone starting out in video. Once you've grasped whether video is something you want to focus on, then upgrading to the EOS R7 or a video focused camera would then allow you to shoot in log profiles. The R10 also shoots in full HD 120p, which gives you lush slow motion shots. I had to do some minor tweaks to the exposure and contrast, but overall it's a great feature. The camera doesn't feature in-body image stabilization, but it does have 2 levels of digital movie image stabilization, which I put to the test in the following material. In a camera with IBIS, the sensor is mechanically stabilized to give steady footage when moving. Digital Movie IS simulates this effect by essentially trimming the movement, which does result in a crop. Vloggers might want to consider this when choosing which lens to use. The image stabilization, the digital image stabilization, has a slight crop on it. I'm currently at 18mm, but as you can see, it's already cropped in. Obviously, because it doesn't have in-body image stabilization, the camera needs some form of area to be able to stabilize the image. So let's give this a test. It's currently on standard IS. From the LCD screen it looks alright, but I know Canon's known for its like warpy stabilization, so and from the looks of things the autofocus seems to be holding up pretty well, although I'm very overexposed. Okay, I'm going to try the enhanced stabilization and see what that's like. Okay, we are officially zoomed in. At 18mm on the RFS lens, this is the enhanced stabilization. And Ella. It's an absolute mugshot. But I'll do some walking and you can see how stabilized it is. What do we think? Let me know in the comment section. Personally, I don't think I would use the stabilization at all, because I think it's already pretty stabilized with it off. What do we think? Although it is a very light setup, so I'm very impressed, and I can see that the autofocus square is around my eye and it's coming in pretty well, so I'm impressed. Thumbs up from me. I paired the R10 with the RFS 18-150mm lens, which is a great all-rounder combo. The focal length of this lens is very exciting, especially for the size and price. If I was starting out, then this is the kit that I would purchase because it's so versatile, allowing you to capture travel, wildlife, portraits and even close-up photography. Compact, lightweight and quiet, its 4.5 stop optical image stabilizer adds extra versatility to help overcome camera shake, which would be great for vlogging. The RFS 18-150mm lens currently retails for $519 or $1249 with the R10 as a kit. We have also put some ProMaster kits together, saving you some money on accessories. I'll link to the website below. So let's talk about the positioning of the controls. Everything is placed where you would naturally reach for them. Things like the mode dial, record button, the AF on switch, but one thing that I really wanted to see on this camera and would make scrolling through the settings a lot easier is to have a rotating multifunction controller. Instead, to scroll through the menus, you have to use a dial on the top, which is a bit less intuitive for me. When photographing animals, I found myself using the joystick in conjunction with the half press shutter button. Why? Well, a handy trick to know, especially when starting out, is that you can use a joystick to select your AF point and then half press the shutter button to track your subject within your frame, making sure you have subject detection and servo mode on. On top of the camera there's a lock button, which locks all your settings in place. Both myself and Ella kept forgetting to do this and found ourselves pressing other buttons mid-shoot, so remember to lock your settings in place once you've set them. On the front of the camera there's an AF/MF switch, making it a lot easier to switch between the two. Moving on to the size and weight, this camera is super lightweight and compact. The grip is a perfect size for my hands, but I can imagine if you have larger hands then you might struggle. My only concern with the R10 body is that if you were to mount a RF lens, like a full frame lens, onto the body, then the space between the lens and the grip does become quite tight. So if you're someone with larger hands, then this might be an issue. The battery is the same as those in the EOS M3, 5 and 6, as well as the EOS 750D, 760D, 800D and the 77D. It's an LP E17 rechargeable battery, so it's not new, but still gives you approximately 430 shots with the LCD and 260 shots with the viewfinder. If you want a camera for vlogging purposes or for video in particular, the fully articulating vari-angled screen is great for those low angle shots, or flip it around to use in vlog mode. As a videographer, my main alteration that I would make on the R10 is when I use my Atomos, I plug it into the HDMI on the side of the camera, but then obviously when you're videoing you want to use the fully articulated screen, but because the port is plugged in here, you can't actually fully rotate your screen here. So a beginner photographer or entry-level photographer or videographer won't necessarily be using an Atomos, but it's the same with a mic because that's on the side here. So I guess they might use it, they might not, but for me, if you was going to use it as a secondary camera, then maybe that's something you need to consider. Honestly, so far I am over the moon with this little camera. This combination with the RFS 18-150 lens is super lightweight, super easy to maneuver, and very versatile, and the focal range is really impressive. As you can see by these photos, I was stood in the same position and you can see that I went from like a mid shot of a leaf to super close up to the point where you could see the detail in the water drops. So there it is, an APS-C hybrid entry-level camera that holds some enthusiast standard features like the autofocus system, video capabilities and high-speed shooting. What I think makes this camera beginner level to the EOS R system is the fact that there's no log profile for colour grading, there's no in-body image stabilization, and it's smaller, lighter and less expensive than the Canon EOS R7. With that being said, I do think this would be an exceptional starting camera or secondary camera, especially with how good the autofocus system is. I really enjoyed vlogging on the R10 with the RFS 18 to 150mm lens because the combination was so lightweight and discreet. So now that you've seen what this camera can do, let's cover a few price points. The EOS R10 body only currently retails for £899 and the EOS R10 with the RFS 18 to 150mm as a kit is currently retailing for £1,249. So it's not bad, right? Okay, it's not full frame, but the autofocus, easy menu layout, 23 frames per second stills capabilities and the video features more than make up for that. And for a beginner photographer, you are getting a lot of features and a variety of options to try out when venturing into different styles of photography and videography. It's a very good entry-level camera to get started on, or even a secondary camera for both the enthusiast photographer or videographer. So what do we think? Let us know in the comment section below. We know this camera won't be for everyone, but I think with the price point you are getting a lot for your money. Like I mentioned earlier, if you want a thorough breakdown of the specifications, then head over to the link in the description box below. But if you enjoyed this video, then please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We've also got some extra content over on Instagram and TikTok, which I will also link down below. But as always, if you have any questions or opinions about this camera, then again, comment them down below and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks so much for watching and we'll see you soon.